All right, Tales from the Ditch coming at you from the apocalypse. Tales from the Ditch! We're here spreading the disease of COVID-19 to each other, but we have isolated ourselves in the studio in order to provide the pool folk out there with some entertainment. You don't have to pay for our podcast. You don't have to donate, although you should. You don't have to do anything. It's free for you. You can listen to it all day while you're sitting at home in quarantine.
This is apocalyptic event, what, 7, 6 that we've lived through? Remember Y2K? And
Y2K was pretty rough, man. It was all the water was gone for Y2K, but the toilet paper, they didn't get the toilet paper. Maybe they learned from Y2K and now they're responding to that now.
I've told several people this. I mean, not to brag, I've lived through multiple apocalyptic events, but this one is the most irritating. It's not even like cool. There's no fires or Mad Max stuff. It's just long lines and a lot of scared white folk. But yeah, so in the midst of these troubled times, we come to you now at the turning of the tide to bring you the sexiest podcast in this area of Sparks in this court.
I'll bet you, actually I know for a fact, indisputably, no other podcast is braving the virus this way.
Not one. You can't prove it.
One.
And we won't respond to notifications, so you really can't prove it.
That's right. It's only a matter of time till the internet goes out.
I'm like Alex Jones. Even in the face of evidence, I will believe what I want. He just got busted for DWI.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's like his second one. But
now, was that... it doesn't matter. Hey, what have you been doing lately? It's been a while.
So, oh my gosh. So, I've been not feeling well. We've canceled 2 podcasts. Our kids have been sick. I've been working as everyone's losing their mind because at my job, everyone's just nervous and anxious about everything. Been doing the normal ministry stuff as a pastor. And I was thinking like, I'll go do kickboxing. That's closed this week too. So for those who don't know, those who listen to us maybe from Finland or something or some other icy white country, businesses are closed down, gyms, casinos, starting tomorrow. So Shauna and I are going to go to a bar tonight to support local economy and our way of avoiding pain, too, and crippling depression. So.
This is the eve of the closure, as they call it. The beginning of the purge, the martial law that's going to happen tomorrow. Our governor just said... Wait, no. Was it a governor? Senator?
So the governor closed down schools for an extra week, and the mayor, I thought it was
our mayor.
Said no businesses with casinos, gyms, restaurants, bars. The Bass part that's the hard one. I don't go a lot of casinos, but
I want to say this to the bars out there, and the restaurants and the gyms. If you're gonna do kind of an underground staying open thing for the sake of your employees and their bills and their daycare and everything like that, if you're gonna stay open, we'll come by and see you.
Yeah,
we support your rebellion. We're not going to touch anybody or sneeze on anybody, try to spread this around, but we definitely want to support our economy because we care about Reno and Sparks.
If anyone tries to start a fight with me, I'm licking them. Just licking them. I want to say this. Tonight, we are the law. Tonight, I am the law. All right? He says it so much better. Batman just says everything better. He has that laryngitis voice all the time.
Yeah, what's his name? The good voice actor.
Who was it? Who was
Conway,
it?
Yeah. Kevin Conway.
He's the one
Kevin Conroy.
He was like the animated series guy.
Yeah, he's the best.
That's the one who you associate with him because he had that I am the darkness. Because that was such an iconic thing. But yeah, him and Mark Hamill were great, Batman, Joker. But anyway. Look, what I'm trying to say is, no. Follow Stormwatch Reno on Twitter if you get a chance to. If you want violent vigilante tweets that aren't real, but really make you think.
We've all but closed down Twitter, but we brought it back just for the Stormwatch.
I really did it only so that some of my friends can chuckle at it. But
can I tell you about my Disneyland trip?
Oh my gosh. Regale us.
It's been a rough 2020. And I understand the irony and the nerve of being so privileged. I got to go to Disneyland and still complaining about it.
Yes.
But that is my privilege, so I'm going to use it. And here's the thing. It's just been rough, like you're saying. We started the year off strong.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of went to crap. Your family got sick.
Yes.
Our family got sick. We went through several iterations of, I believe, the same thing. I don't know if it was corona related or not, but it was a bad sickness. My kid ended up with double ear infection and had to do 2 different rounds of antibiotics and all kinds of crazy stuff. But anyway, so we're planning on going to Disneyland. Make a big trip down to LA, drive there, which is a big drive, and the night before we're going to leave, or the night before the eve of leaving, Danger starts complaining that his ear hurts. And he's complaining that he's not feeling good and stuff. So we go, uh-oh, what's this about? So we go to urgent care and they say, yep, he's got an ear infection. And we go, well, should we cancel this trip to Disneyland? They go, no, we'll get him on antibiotics and he'll be good to go. And, just keep him out of the pool and stuff like that. And he should be good and he's not contagious or whatever. So we go down to Disneyland. We go, we make a big long trip and we get down there and I'm counting on the Southern California weather to be kind of good, good for Danger. The humidity is probably good for helping the stuff
worked for
come
Doc
out of
Holliday.
your ears. Yeah,
until
exactly.
he died.
Yeah. Well, and we get there and it's this crazy record low temperature week.
Because
all
why
week.
not?
Yeah. So we're in Anaheim. And it was literally a low of 31 degrees. I've never even heard of that.
God, in Anaheim?
Yeah. And because of that, so we go to Disneyland and California Adventure, and they're like, have all kinds of stuff closed because they're like, we don't know what to do when it freezes. We've never seen this before.
They don't.
We're not sure if these rides are safe or anything. So it's just crazy. And so everything was kind of rough. We didn't get to ride the really cool Star Wars ride, the brand new one, because they have a weird lottery system and stuff, but it doesn't matter. Danger still had a good time, and that's really the important thing about the whole thing. But I went to the ocean. We went to the beach, over to Newport Beach for just a real quick day trip, and I wasn't in the water for 10 minutes, and I got stabbed by a stingray.
Haven't they taken enough from us?
I know. I joined the fraternity of men who've been attacked by a stingray. And I got to tell you, it's not fun.
Dude.
It was not fun. My foot swole up super big. It was a very small stingray, which I was like, oh, at least it was a baby. They go, no, the small stingrays actually don't control their venom output, kind of like a rattlesnake here. And so it sucked. And I had to go sit with my foot in hot water, and that's really all they can do. And it lodged pieces of its stinger in my foot, and I just have to kind of wait for those to break up and be absorbed into my body.
Terrible little demons. I mean, seriously, do you remember when we went surfing, I lost my hat and I screamed at the ocean until it gave me back?
And you got sand in your eyeball or something?
That was bad. Man, the freaking ocean has just been ruthless lately. Someone's got to do something about these
I don't know what the problem is. Anyway, so had a great Disneyland trip. And came back, and Danger says he's finished with his antibiotics. He says, I still don't feel good and my ear still hurts. So we go to urgent care again. And we go to the doctor and we say, and this is the medical industry that I already have trust issues with.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, we want to just make sure that doesn't have an infection, we'll do whatever. He just did antibiotics. We saw you like a week ago, blah, blah, blah. The guy goes, he looks fine, no big deal, whatever. So we go, okay, take him home. He can't hear us. I'm screaming at him all the time. I'm like, Danger! He can't even hear me, doesn't even respond to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, he has permanent hearing loss. We go to finally get into his pediatrician. And that's the thing. When you're sick, the pediatrician's like, yeah, we could see you in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't help. So anyways, we finally get into the pediatrician. She goes, he has a double ear infection now. And the fact that the antibiotics didn't work the first time means we have to put him on these immune system killing antibiotics. And so he does that. And then finishes that round of antibiotics, and I think his ear infection went away. And then he gets hand, foot, and mouth disease, which is, I thought that was for cows, but it turns out that's hoof and mouth disease, but still same thing.
Yeah.
But either way, and so now every time we were going to do a podcast, it's like somebody's sick, and it's been 3 months, I think.
And we were going to have Cliff, but then the apocalypse happened, yeah. Well, we can just tonight, I mean, and you can tell some too. I got stories. We'll just tell stories.
Yeah.
They need the sweet, soothing voice of Reverend Seth and Mac Daddy Moss to speak to him. But I have a few. I don't know. Do you think because I can stall too. If I have a few stories, you'll have a few maybe you can think of?
Yeah, I'll think of a few. I'm sure I got a bunch.
Because I got 2. So one's about my dad and one's about me. But the one about my dad will end up being about me because that's who I am as a person. But so
I think that's where you should start.
So I've been doing the grief recovery book. It was recommended to me to deal with different losses I had in my life. I've lots of people, like almost every 4 or 5 years, I've lost someone I loved. But so I've been dealing with that. Well, it brought me back to a story when I was talking to my wife about, well, how's your dad deal with grief? And I remembered, all right, so it was my grandma's funeral on my mom's side. And we show up, and there was, turbulence between, that family dynamic and all that. But we show up, and I don't know why, my dad brought a disposable camera. And we're walking in, and everyone's somber, and, you got people in black, and it's really quiet, and it's an old-fashioned church. Probably if I had to guess, Southern Baptist, something like that. One that wouldn't be okay with everything I'm doing right now, drinking, smoking, tattoos. So we're walking down, and I think my mom was finding a seat, and my dad looks around, and he has a camera, he goes, Seth, do a handstand. And we're walking down the aisle, so we're 20 feet from, where they're doing the from the guy talking. I'm like, what? He goes, do a handstand. So I'm like, all right, man. And I was going downhill, because it's a slope, the church. So I do a handstand, and my dad takes a picture. I don't think I got it the first time, so I did it again, and he takes a picture. And people are walking by as my dad's on his knee trying to take pictures of me doing a handstand walking down. And we get it, and he's like, oh, I got that last one. And my mom walks up and is like, what are you doing? What? Why would you think this is the place? And my dad just looks at her, he goes, but we got it. He goes I got the picture. She's like, and just walks away. And I walk up, I'm all, is everything fine? He goes, yeah, I got it. I was like, oh, good. So I don't know if I've ever seen my dad handle grief by sitting down, mourning, and going, okay, let's wrestle through it. I've seen him joke. I've seen him pretend it doesn't happen. And I've seen him also say, yeah, that happened. Yeah. But I don't think he's ever really dealt with it, which is kind of painful, but kind of funny. But yeah, I just remember we still have that photo somewhere of me doing a handstand at the funeral. And my dad really loves that photo and kept it. And it's a good memory to him. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know what his logic was, but for some reason around people crying and tearing up, that's what he wanted to do. And kind of felt like that was an appropriate move at the time.
That reminds me, the photo reminds me kind of a story. It's not the greatest story, but it's more going to be an appeal to our fans to uncover this photograph of you and me that I haven't seen since it was first taken. Okay. Do you remember we had a good friend, Danny Lemaire? Yeah. Remember he got married this one time? Yes, he did. And it was kind of a renegade wedding up at Lake Tahoe. Gosh, I probably should have asked for permission before telling the story, but it'll be okay. So we were going to go up to Lake Tahoe. Tahoe wedding is beautiful, right? Beautiful lake. You got the mountains, the trees, the granite, the pine, maybe some snow-capped peaks. And those weddings cost, $20,000, $30,000. They're pricey, yeah. Because you definitely don't want people ruining them. Tahoe's pretty schmoozy. Yeah. But either way, old Danny, he's a smart guy. He says, well, I'm not paying for that. Let's just go up there to the beach and just do this wedding really quick. I think. This is how I remember it, at least. So we had a big caravan of people go up to the lake, and we basically went to this beach that's really popular, very pretty, and the parking lot was full. And so I think I went up there with my wife, and I was either just married or not married yet to Carissa. And we drove up and we were in the back of the caravan. And when we got in, they said the parking lot is full. And so we were like, oh no, we're just going to be here for a minute. They're like, why? Are you doing any illegal weddings? And we're like, no. We're just trying to go. And it was like late in the afternoon, right? It was like 4 or 5 or something.
I think so.
So it was weird that they would turn us away. But anyways, they did. So Chris and I went down the highway for like, I don't know, a mile or something. And we were going to walk up the highway. But I was like, hey, I know this area. Let's take a shortcut through these manzanitas, because there's all these trails through these manzanita trees that you can do between the highway and the beach. And I was like, let's go. And then we got caught in this like really deep area of manzanitas where we were hopping from boulder to boulder over these trees. Anyways, long story short, we got to the wedding about 15 minutes late, and I was in the wedding, which was a problem. Do you remember? You were there before I was.
That was there was some tension. There was a little bit of tension.
Well, luckily I missed it. Anyways, I showed up, and I think they had done part of it, and they were like, get in here. And so they finished the wedding, and I stood there, and I was only in there for like 1 minute, and they go, you may kiss the bride. And I was like, all right. I was like, let's party. And you and me, and they were like, well, we're going to take pictures, and we need all the groomsmen here. And you and me were like, F that. And so we took our jackets off and ran around this little bay to this big rock that you can jump off of. And there's one wedding picture that I saw that I think made Danny and his wife hate us for a little while. That's them. And I think a couple people are smiling, and I think a couple people are frustrated still because of the tension. And way far away in the background, you see a little silhouette of you and me jumping like mid-air into the lake. And I just thought it was kind of funny because that was a iconic moment of when you and I were kind of dicks and didn't really care what anybody said.
Yeah.
And so it's not that it was good that we were dicks, but at least it kind of explains a little bit about our teenagers.
Every wedding I've been at for Tahoe, I have been just a grade A-hole. You remember Schrock's wedding? We were shooting off fireworks.
Oh, yeah.
And then we were
that
driving.
Was another one we jumped in the lake, and they were like, we have to take the pictures.
That was one that we were driving in construction, and they had blocked off, one lane going one way, and the other lane going the opposite end. I threw garbage at one of the cars who drive by and hit the guy in the face. But, man, I'm not saying I'm princess of polite these days, as the cool kids say. But I was just such a terrible, just human, not even just friend, like a bad human. Like,
it was so easy for us to justify too. Cause we were like,
really was.
We were like, oh, that doesn't count because we're angry. You know what I mean? Or we have emotions. So that doesn't mean this means anything. And so I want to say this kind of as a gesture of maturity, but also mostly guilt and shame. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Danny, that I was a little late to your wedding, but I still would have jumped off that rock.
Yeah, I'm sorry Sean was that selfish that day. And
yeah, that's it. That's all. The end of that story. I remember Josh Schrock's wedding was the same thing.
Was it bottle rockets? Is that what we were shooting?
Yeah, we had a bunch of bottle rockets and black cats. And right after the wedding, I was like, because this one was in South Lake, which is even fancier. And I was like, all right, time to go jump in the lake. And I just shed my clothes and jumped off the dock with Lonnie Holland. And I remember the photographer, somebody said, get your clothes on. We're supposed to take pictures. And all the pictures, I have wet hair. It's hard, though. That lake.
Oh, it's just so alluring.
Mesmerizing.
It's a mistress of blue and aquamarine. No, Tahoe is just a place where I like to ruin other people's lives. And, good time. Maverick loves the water out there, but okay. I have another one. Okay. So this one is only because it checks off, something on my bucket list, and I'll explain that at the end. So, there used to be this place. Man, how many details should I give? Okay. Well, I'm just going to go ham. So, Club Infinity. was
Oh, yeah. Lovely establishment.
You ever been? Beautiful. I know you have because there's evidence. It was a venue that had concerts. Gosh, I have two stories, so I think I'll only share one. If we have tons of time at the end, I'll share a second one because I know it, and Lamb Goat, that old website knows it, but not everyone knows it.
Oh, yeah.
So this one, we're at the show, and this is back when I was kind of like I had already left Christianity, but I was starting to go down this path of, okay, I'm going to be super violent and do whatever I want. I was hanging out with some other guys who basically didn't like to take crap from anyone. So we're there. It's a concert, super crowded. Everyone's, getting nuts. If you've been to a hardcore show, we're spinning around kicking people and the normal stuff. Well, this huge guy shows up who, I can already tell. I'm like, all right, he's here to pick a fight. Just a big dude. Like Sean's like, what, 6'1", 6'2"? How tall are you?
6'3". I grew an inch.
Jeez. Okay. So he was an inch or two taller than you, 300 something. Just big dude. And he's shoving people around and everything. And I hadn't quite flipped over yet to that stage where if you look at me wrong, I punch you in the eye. So I still was trying to be kind of reasonable. So he keeps shoving people and the band's playing and, it's a pit. You have a mosh pit, all that. And it's not a big club. So I finally look at the big guy. Yeah, I'm like, hey man, like, what's the deal, man? We're just dancing. He goes, you got a problem? You got a problem? And I put up my hands. Well, one, cause he's huge, but two, I'm like, I really was trying to be reasonable, man. I'm like, I'm not trying to mess with you. It's just, you can't take this personal. People are dancing. And he gets in my face. People break it up. I'm like, what was that about? I really was like trying to be like, not be a jerk. He like walks off because his friends separate him. But I'm still there. And I'm like, ugh. And one of the security or bouncers, whatever, comes over is like, hey, you can't be causing crap. And it was the one time where I could say, well, I wasn't. Normally I was. And I'm like, dude, I wasn't doing anything. I'm like, why is everyone acting like this? I was trying to be reasonable. So I'm kind of irritated at this point, but the guy touches my shoulder. He goes, we'll remove you. I go, okay, you really need to get out of my face now. I'm telling him this, and he kind of squares up a little bit, gets close to my face. He goes, where's security and the bouncers? I need to know you're listening to me. And he's almost talking down to me now. So I go, okay, this is the last time I'm going to warn you. Get out of my face. And I didn't warn people years later. I just didn't care if I sucker punched you or hit you while you were talking, whatever. So I say that last time I'm warning you. And he leans in to say something else. So I turn my right hand over, kind of torquing it a little bit and elbow him in the face. Just like smash him right in the face with an elbow. And then, because I didn't know what combos was,
that was during your Wing Chun phase, right? That was a Wing Chun elbow.
I had done some stuff with Wing Chun. I think I had done some of the Wing Chun, but I had stopped. And I think I was only doing like MMA sometimes. So I didn't know what combos were, but I knew, you could string some stuff together. So I threw a right elbow and then a right fist hit him. And he had glasses and it snapped the glasses and hit him in like the bridge of the nose and the elbow him by the eye. So he like wobbled back a few feet. Well, right then one of the security grabs me from behind and I'm surprised no one jumped in because at these shows, everyone jumped in, but it did happen super quick. He like recovers a little bit and kind of stumbles towards me to like, I don't know, grab me or swing at me. And the guy's holding me and I'm not kidding. And this is on my bucket list. I'll explain why. I use him as leverage because he's holding my arms and, kind of lean back on him, like posting up, jump up and kick the guy with both my legs. So I like lean back.
Oh, a transporter kick?
Yeah. So the guy, it's almost like the guy's picking me up so I can do the double kick the guy. And Club Infinity, the area where they stored all your gear for music, had these two double doors, almost like bar room, like Western doors. And he hit them. So it feels like this, like you have something solid behind you, but it's false. So they give way and flew through them. And I was like, I just kicked a guy through double doors. Ugh. And that was on my bucket list to like kick someone in a bar through double doors.
That's amazing.
So they bring me to the front and go, hey, you need to stay here till the cops are called. And I'm like, okay. And the guy walks off and my friend Mike, Mad Mike comes up, goes, you should just leave. I go, I know, but I was like, I don't know. He goes, just leave. He cannot come after you. I was like, okay. So I leave. I run off. And I go to some other party where some other guy had issue with me, but he didn't do anything. I met like Ryan Cox and guys like that. What I found out later was after I left, everyone was kind of amped up and pissed. And the previous guy, the bigger guy, was messing with people again. And I guess everyone gets fed up. So like 6 people pounce on him, or like punching him, kicking out his knees, like beating on him. Someone hits him with a chair or something like that. And it goes out front and people are picking up rocks and security's getting involved and the cops come, so everyone drops the rocks and runs. But they all show up at the party I'm at later, and some of them have like blood under their nose or a shirt got torn. I was like, what happened? They go, well, then we beat up that other guy. I was like, man. And it was after that night, I just really was like, man, you know what? Fighting people is kind of cool and it does cool things. And, you know, at the time I hadn't gotten arrested or anything, so there wasn't really consequences. It was just, oh, how cool it was and how dangerous. And we're dumb kids. We're like 18 or 19, so we think everything's awesome. But that was the time I double kicked a guy through doors at Club Infinity. And it was as cool as you think it was. It really was super fun. But yeah, you weren't there, but you did go to a few Club. I wasn't there. You went to a few Club Infinity shows though, right? How many do you think you went to?
At Club Infinity, I don't know. At least 2, probably not more than 4.
So not a ton then?
No, not really. I was, I was married at that time and struggling through being married. I didn't have time to go out with you dang whippersnapper kids, getting in all your fights and running from cops.
You actually had a job that you showed up to?
No, that's not true. That was part of the problem at the beginning of my marriage is I could not keep a job. Yeah, I was just like always busy. Or I wasn't even busy. I was just like, I don't know. I was never that into it. You know what I mean? I was always wanted to be there for you and always obviously had the desire to fight back to back against an opposing army, probably in a bar. Yeah. But I was never really that into it. And I don't know that maybe the fear of missing out wasn't that strong at the time when I was that age.
Do you remember the crime scene at a certain high school you walked onto for me? You want to tell that story? Because I really appreciate that.
Have we told that story?
No, and I appreciate it.
We've never told that story.
We have never told that story.
Oh yeah, that was fun. So that was during that time period. So set the stage. I've been married a year or maybe 2.
Yes.
Something like that. And it's really hard because my wife, she put up with a lot. She, we got married and she did everything she could to like be a good wife. And I was just, like you said, just a horrible human. And, yeah. So anyways, it was rough. Anyways, so we ended up living in the same apartment complex. It was a 4-plex. I lived on one side. You lived on the other side. And occasionally we would meet in the middle. And, I don't know what we would do. But this was the prime time when you were getting heavily involved in straight edge and hardcore and crimes.
Yes.
I would say something like that.
Against humanity.
And I was getting heavily involved in becoming a terrible husband. And that was about that time. And so, I remember you kind of had a new set of friends. Not a new set of friends. I mean, I think I
had a whole new bag.
I knew a lot of them, but I was just never that into it, had a wife and everything. And so, occasionally I would go out with you and hang out, but I was never straight edge, not even close. And I was never, really that into, like dancing, hardcore dancing.
Yeah.
That much. I thought it was a little silly. Mm-hmm. I would have never said that. I'm glad I feel comfortable enough to say that now.
To speak your truth.
I always thought it was a little silly.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it, but I don't know. Anyways, so on this evening, I'm going to tell it how I remember. I'm not sure if this is accurate.
I can fill in the details because the conclusion will shock you.
On this evening, you came over to my apartment and said, hey, there's a big fight about to happen. Can you come, be part of this big crew of people fighting other people?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It sounds like a bit of a Donnybrook. I would like to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so I went with you. And honestly, it's so funny. This was one of the very few isolated times when I went out with you to do this type of stuff. For the most part, our our fighting days had passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or mine,
Yeah.
us together.
Yeah.
Yours were just getting started.
Mine.
But other thing. And so you said, hey, come. And so we drove up to this high school in the area, McQueen High School. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of famous people that came out of McQueen High School.
I rode up there with a girl who didn't talk to me after this. But yeah,
that's
so
right.
you took your car.
Now I remember.
I rode up with another friend
face?
and his girlfriend and her friend who liked me. Yeah, she didn't like me after this. Go ahead.
Gotcha. We rode up there, and I remember I parked far away from the high school because that's what you should do, right? But everybody else was going, and the way this high school is set up is you drive along this kind of alleyway towards the back of the school, where's the main parking lot. And the parking lot was where this fight was supposed to take place.
Yes.
So I parked down the street and then was walking up. And I remember as I was walking up, I turned the corner and could see the main back parking lot and a ton of kids.
Yes.
All kids from our group, right? Mm-hmm. The other kids didn't show up. And as we were waiting for the other kids to show up, and I was just walking up, all of a sudden you see cherry lights go off and a couple burp burp and sirens from both sides, and they storm in. And how many cop cars were there? There was
much.
There was like 10 squad cars, 4 or 5 K9 units, the gang guys,
gang unit,
and literally a paddy wagon, which I had never actually seen a paddy wagon in real life. And that drove. So, at this time I hadn't made contact yet with you in the parking lot. I was still in the bushes. So I just stayed in the bushes and watched everybody scatter. And the police drove the car around from where the main group of kids were to where they were escaping from.
Yes.
Because there's like this big sagebrushy hill that everybody was running down and ducking in the sagebrush. And I'd say maybe 3/4 or 2/3 of the kids ran off, but a major chunk of kids, got cornered by the cops, and the cops
got left behind,
drew their guns, and they had dogs barking and everything. And the cops were like, don't move or we'll shoot. It was crazy. I've never seen Reno PD on teenagers. We will shoot you. Anyways, so you were one of the kids who got away. And so I hung around long enough to see who was still there and who wasn't there. And I know that your car was still there, and your car was locked. Or no, your car was unlocked. And so I watched the gang unit take pictures of all these kids. And then
it was her car. This is part of the reason. So go ahead. So her car was unlocked. Yes.
Yeah. So I say, all right, time to go find Seth. And I try a couple spots where I thought you would be. And I think the third one was where you were. And I found you and I said, hey, this is what happened. These kids got arrested. These kids got pictures taken and put on gang profile and blah, blah, blah. Nobody ever showed up from this rival group.
Yeah.
And you said, well, my keys and my wallet are back there.
Yeah, my license. Yeah.
Yeah. In this car. Oh, that's right. It was the other car. And I need those things. And I said, okay, let me see what I could do. And so I remember I drove up there in my car smoking a cigarette because I wanted to make sure that the cops knew I wasn't part of this straight edge rabble.
Yeah.
And so I was smoking a cigarette and I go up and I said, hey, I need to get some keys out of that car. And he goes, well, we're not going to let you do that. And I go, look, man, I was like, I just got off work. Clearly I'm not straight edge. And I was like smoking and trying to blow the smoke at him. And I was like, I just need to get in there. My roommate's involved with all this. I don't know the whole deal, but all I know is he's got my laundry key and I need to get in the laundry room so I can get my clothes so I can go to work tomorrow. And the cop's like, well, you're going to have to wait for this and that. And I was like, listen, man, I was like, all I want is one key. You can keep everything else.
Yep.
Just give me the one that says laundry on it. And he goes, okay, well, let's go over here. And he had a cop escort me. And literally they let me get in the car and grab your keys and your wallet. And then take one of you had like 3 key ring things, take the one with your gym thing off and give it to the cop and leave because they were not terribly, I don't know. Maybe they were just being nice, but they let me do it.
Yeah.
And, and so that was how I became an accomplice.
Yeah. You were registered with them for a little bit.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to fight these guys who were in a racing crew. And here's the funny thing. While we're waiting, there was this other group of kids who were there to back us up. And my friend goes, "Do you recognize the truck over there?" And I realized the guys there to back us up were kids we had fought months before, but they hated these kids too. And I go, "I threw a recycling bin full of bottles at that truck because it tried to run me over." I was like, "I know." So we talked to them, laughed about it. And when the cops came, I had a hockey mask on and a machete. And I tossed the machete and they're like, "Don't run, don't run." I was like, "F you." And I jumped over the fence and fell down that hill. Cause it's like, went through a drainage ditch, like tried to hide. And I had to like work my way back. Cause here's the thing. Yeah, it had those two entrances going in. So there was no way out and they had blocked them. But that hill, you couldn't take a cop car down and it was all fenced too. So they would have to drive through a neighborhood like for a few minutes to get down to where I was. And I was already hiding.
Yeah, that was again poor planning on Reno PD's part. I hope they learned from that.
I don't think they thought I was that willing to throw myself down that small mountain. And it turns out the racing crew were the ones who called the cops.
Yeah,
and I'm
of course.
That's kind of a punk move. Now, here's the thing. Because she said, wait up for me, and I left her there. And because she got put on gang profile, and because I didn't return her calls, and because I left evidence in her car, she didn't want to talk to me after that. She was a little mad, a little miffed. They say don't run, they'll always catch you. That's not true. I mean, they will a lot of the time, and the radio is quicker than you, and the helicopter is quicker than you. But sometimes there's just so many people.
Hiding from a helicopter
that's a little trickier.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not ideal.
It's not as easy as it seems in the movies.
The dogs, yes, I will immediately fall on the ground. The dogs are just terrifying, but they took us very seriously. But I remember you got my stuff, and the next day I still went to work and taught kids. And that's America.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. You went to Head Start and taught young, at-risk kids, and I went to church that Sunday as a youth pastor.
Yeah, man.
It's terrible. I really hate that. But yeah, we went, so this was the crazy thing, and I'm curious to ask you this. That literally was one of my few nights out with you. Yeah. Out with you and the whole crew, right? Mm-hmm. If I was ever with all of you guys, it was a show or, coming over to my house or something like that. Yeah. But I never really went out with you on these adventures too often. At what point when you were running away from the police did you say, "Oh, I wonder what happened to Sean"? Or did you?
I don't think I thought about anyone but myself because I had so much adrenaline, and no joke. I hopped the fence and I was just picking up speed too quick, and I flipped over and I rolled down that hill because I remember I hit 2 rocks on the way down and I wasn't wearing a shirt, but some other people had gotten away, and one of them I said, "Hey, they only saw you covered with a hoodie wearing a sweater. They didn't see your face. Give me your sweater." So I wore his sweater and I went through a few like fences and stuff like that, but that was a crazy, those 5 years I thought of no one but Seth. And I do appreciate you getting my license and my keys. That was very nice. I know we have a tally of who's failed the other person the most. Oh my gosh. It's just crazy because even if you think of it, I'm like, I really thought like this is the night I'm going to use a machete on someone. Like I was like, this will make me notorious because I thought about it. I go, if I in a fight really hit someone with a machete, they will go, holy crap, these kids are using machetes. Like, and not just swinging them, like actually hitting people with them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And it's crazy because a few of us had machetes, but I'm trying to think if any of us ever hit.
It was like for visual impact.
Because I know we threaten people, but I'm like, I am honestly surprised, especially because a lot of us were unstable, that not one person got hit in like the face or skull with a machete. Because I hit people with bats and stuff like that. But I had it planned that night. I was like, I don't even have to kill them. If the word gets out that I hit one person with a machete, they will take us seriously. And apparently when the cops showed up with guns, they did take us very seriously. So I was like, okay, I appreciate that. So
It is crazy, though. There is a little bit of renown from Reno area with somebody maybe trying to stab the lead singer of Converge that one time.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
another person using brass knuckles and killing a guy. Or the guy with the nunchucks. But you were always known as the shovel guy.
Yeah. You know what? And what's the statute of limitations? I'm trying to think. That was when I was 22. So that's 14 years ago. And they didn't file a report. Well, no, well, did they?
We've already pushed the statute of limitations on here, so I think you're free to talk about it.
When they went to a hospital, I think they just filled out, but they never got my name. You know what? Yeah. So, okay. I'll do this and then we can do whatever for the rest. And, gosh. So yeah, it was on a few message boards, but, so a certain band that was really just popular at the time in the scene, they were a California band, was up here playing. And they were playing with another popular California band. And I thought these dudes were cool with us. I don't know. I thought we were cool. And, I had a friend, I'll just call him S. And he was a big dude, strong. He would dance around, smash people. But he did that to everyone. He wasn't, he really wasn't taking out. He danced like that with everyone. So we're at Club Infinity again. Small area. Yeah. Same place. I don't know why he kept putting on shows, quite frankly. So, and honestly, I think a guy had already gotten beaten up that night, like a security guard. I think he had gotten, that's the other thing. When your security's getting beat up, you're like, all right, this is getting out of hand. So I think that already happened. But anyway, bands are playing. People are having a good time. The night is going great. So we're all having fun. And, some of the older dudes were there who had kind of like put us into the crew or kind of got us in this scene. And they were kind of the veterans, like older dudes, all kind of bigger dudes. And, the show's going okay. And then I remember my friend S, danced into someone or knocked them back and, they shoved him. And I want to say he punched them or shoved them back. And, the guy he punched was from the other band or like connected to him, I think. And these were guys allegedly who were connections to California, friends of ours or people we were connected to. So people kind of get puffed up and one of the bigger, older dudes, we'll just call him Jay, he starts getting in guys' faces and like telling them to back off and, you need to chill. You need to know where you are. And, you're in Reno. You need to realize you're not in California. And I thought it was going to calm down. And then one of the dudes hops on the table, another one of their friends from California, and says something like F Reno or something like that. So that gets everyone kind of riled up, and it's this close space. Everyone's yelling at each other. All these people are getting amped up. We have, I think, and not everyone got involved, but there was about probably 15 to 20 people from our crew, and then friends, scattered throughout the pit, and they had like 10 or more. And the guy on the pool table keeps yelling, and someone yells back at him. And finally, he hops off the pool table, and one of our friends charges at him. He kind of backs out those double doors that I'd kicked the other guy through. And our friend chases him basically outside. And we all follow because, it's going to be a fight. And some of the California guys follow. It's going to be a fight. And on my way out, there, standing in a corner, I see this huge shovel. Like just, the handle is, I don't know, like almost as tall as me. And then it's a flat one, like a flat shovel, just square. Maybe a foot in length, the metal part, And I don't know why. I still can't explain it to this day. I've been asked multiple times. I don't know why. There's all these things I could have picked up. Well, I grabbed the shovel and I go outside and, things are going down. And my friend who had chased out the guy who hopped on the pool table, he's holding his face bleeding. It turns out the guy from the pool table had pulled out like a pipe or something or a small thing and hit him in the face. Well, a lot of guys are jumping on him and just cracking him, just you're hanging, just smashing him, whatever. And some of the California guys are trying to jump in. And I yelled something like, which one hit you or something or whatever. And I don't know why I was trying to be a tough guy, but I yelled something like that. And I turn around and one of the guys from California is trying to jump in. So I swing and just dang, like the shovel cracks him right in the head and the neck. And he just kind of tumbles a little. And then I turned around like a 360, swing it again, it clips some other guy. And now they're dragging some guy onto the street because he's trying to get away and they're just stomping on him. Well, I realize the tour van is there. So I kick out one of their taillights and smash one of the windows with a shovel. And the owner comes out and grabs the shovel and goes, "Give me that." He's like, "What are you even doing?" It's the owner now, and it's his shovel. I'm like, "Whatever." I was like, "Get out of my face." He goes, "Oh, you got to fight me?" And some of my friends are behind him. And I'm like, "I don't think I have to." And he's like, you need to leave. And he just goes back inside and lets us keep fighting. So I run away. This starts a war that didn't get ended till I want to say a few years later. Some of our guys got jumped in California, which was terrible, but it started this, bad blood. When we left, we ran off and we all meet up at In-N-Out and we're all talking and everyone's telling the story and all saying, what's going on. And we get to In-N-Out and one of my friends, I'll just say his name, Miles, goes, "Hey, did you hit him with a shovel?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was pissed and they were fighting, our friends. And he goes, "Okay, but where did you find that?" And I'm like, "Well, it was just out there." He goes, "But there's rocks and bricks." He goes, "You have brass knuckles and knife." I go, "Yeah, but they were messing with him." He goes, "I know, but why did you pick this giant shovel?" He goes, "It seems so unwieldy." And then another friend comes in, my Filipino friend who and we're all talking. He goes, "Hey, and Seth hit a guy with a shovel." He goes, "Why? That's so weird." I'm like, I was explaining myself 10 times that night. And that friend Miles even made a pin for me that said shovel times on it. And, instead of hammer time, shovel time. And, Lamb Goat even had discussion. They're like, "Who hits someone with a shovel? Who does that? Why would you?" And then I even would get on there. I'm all, "You know what? You weren't there. I'm sure he has reasons." And and then there's a California message board and they're like, "This is BS. And Reno needs to be taught a lesson." And someone's like, "And did you hear one of the dudes grabbed a shovel?" And they're like, "Why? That's so dumb." And I'm like, "Shut up. You don't know." And it's being talked about. And it's that and the time I picked a fight at Emery show were the only times I was mentioned, on Lamb Goat or on Bridge 9 about how, by these snooty scene kids who would never say this to anyone's face. They're all these, they're all these forum kids who have just, As I Lay Dying shirts and, probably get beat up by people who are jerks like me because I was an idiot.
Forum.
Yeah,
it sounded like you said foreign, and I know you didn't mean
that. Oh,
no.
That's from the brain damage. But yeah, and from then on, that was a nickname. I had a few nicknames. Some of them I can't say because of the words in them, but yeah, Shovel was one of them. And, I don't know why I grabbed it. It was just there like Excalibur waiting, and I was the one who was chosen.
Single moonbeam shined upon
it.
The
Lady of the Lake was like, "Seth, you have to strike them down like an angry Greek god." It sounded so loud though, because it was just a solid old-fashioned piece of metal shovel, and just his head did not defend well against it. It just absorbed all the force, and yeah. And that's how I started a small war.
Yeah.
So, but the good news is it ended terribly. So, yeah, that was, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was 14 years ago now, 14 or 15 years ago. And it didn't get settled till I think we became good with them 6 or 7 years ago.
You know what we should interview is Armed for Battle members, because they
were involved, yeah.
They had direct repercussions from California for, I believe, that whole conflict.
And the funny thing is, the ones that, got attacked, that they tried to beat up, weren't even part of that fight. They didn't get involved and do that. They weren't even the ones responsible.
Yeah.
Where I was like, "Hey, man."
Some of them, the nicest, gentlest guys.
Yeah, some of our nicest dudes. And I'm like, and I even said a few times on forums, I was like, I'm not in the band. I was like, in fact, all the people who were violent are not in that band.
Yeah.
We did not do it, but they just kind of lumped it in, and
they're from Reno.
It was kind of dumb, and it's one of those crazy stories. I'm like, oh, that actually happened. Where now I look back at my life, I'm like, I can't believe I did that. It's kind of nuts to me. And just, you would have nights like that where same thing when Bleeding Through played. We had basically a small gang war outside with some guys. Some of them were Bloods, and maces being sprayed, and you have rocks being thrown. And that was at New Oasis. But even once I remember I got in a fight in an intersection and the cars are trying to go around. It's just stuff like that where I go, that's nuts now. I'm like, how did I not die? I was being an idiot. How did I not get shot? I mean, I got hurt a few times, like hit with stuff and some concussions, but I'm like, I could have died, like just the stuff we did. But yeah, that's how I got the nickname Shovel.
Do you ever have nightmares about times when you came close to death? Like,
oh my gosh.
I think of a bunch of times in my life where I'm like, wow, I was really close to dying or maybe could have killed somebody or something. And at the time, I just dealt with it by ignoring it.
Yeah.
But now as an old man, I'm just like, every now and then I just get the chills thinking about how close to death. And I don't know if it's the death that scares me as much as the state I was in at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's part of the reason I want to go to therapy. No joke, is because there's even stuff I haven't mentioned where like I still think about it and go, man, that was really bad. Like when you watch like a friend of yours, like even now, I was like, my shoulders naturally like tensed up when I'm telling it and like just felt like I was reliving it. But when I watched a friend, you know, like 5 or 6 guys are beating him with bats and you think they killed him and he just goes limp. It's stuff like that I'm like, yeah, that's hard to forget.
Yeah.
And those are ones I want to talk about and be like, gosh, how do I even process that? Because we didn't do it at the time. You just kept going. You could have something like that happen, and then 2 days later, you're in another fight. We're not sitting around like, hey, let me affirm you, and what were your feelings in that, and let's grieve. Yeah, you didn't even have time because you were wondering, like, it could be if you had fought some guy in the dark at a concert and he recognized you, but you didn't recognize him. He could walk up and punch you in the back of the head when you're not looking. And it just, some of those shows, you get in 3 or 4 fights in one night. And just, man, some of those just went bad where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, broke my hand that one night. And then another night I remember I busted my back and I came to your house. I was living with you at the time. And next day I was like limping around and we almost had to fight someone else who showed up at your house, chasing a friend of ours, girlfriend at the time. And it just, I don't know if you even had.
What was that about? I forgot about that.
That was her husband.
Yeah.
You didn't even have time to process because before one, traumatic event was over, you were already the next night doing something. And part of me was like, it's so crazy. I knew it was unhealthy and nuts and like crazy what we were doing, but also like, I felt like I had a cause and a purpose. It made me feel alive because it was exciting, but it was nerve wracking. And you would have times where like, are the police looking for me or should I be hiding? Are they going to show up at my work? Are guys going to show up at my work? If we go somewhere, is some guy finally going to, get sick of our crap and just pull out a gun? And sometimes that did happen. We had a few times where a guy pulled a gun and you go, okay. And then my answer was, okay, I'm going to start carrying a gun. So it just, some of that stuff I still go, what the heck happened, man? It's just nuts to me. It was a cool gun. It was a cool gun, yeah. I have a new one, but that one, I got rid of. But anyway, what do you want to close with, man? What you got to close with?
I got nothing.
Nothing to close with?
I'm still just like remembering that one night when, that was weird. Anyways, I'm trying to think of something, but I can't.
No, because it's
drawing a blank.
Because this stuff is bringing back PTSD memories.
Yeah,
just
I blacked it out.
Oh my gosh, man. No, it's just so dumb. No, but you know what? We got together 2 weeks of no podcast and we got to give the people what they want. But yeah.
From the epicenter.
From the epicenter of the apocalypse.
From the pan center.
We had one, Renell, a follower, message me back saying, please wash your hands after. I was like, all right. So
here's what grinds my gears, Seth. I'm seeing a lot of Christian feedback saying here's the thing a lot of Christians are saying is like, we have faith in God. We're not afraid of this virus.
Yeah.
We ain't afraid of no COVID. We're not going to live in fear. Like, we fear God. We don't fear viruses. And you might be right. I'm pretty sure, like, we already had it a long time ago, maybe, but, in case we didn't, like, but the thing is, there is a group of people who should probably be fearing this because they are, statistically speaking, within a group that could die from it, right?
Yeah.
So
high risk.
There's people like with high risk, low immunity, old, the olds, they're all at risk, right? And it as a Christian, it is your responsibility to be all things to all men, and that includes the olds and the low immunity people. So I would say, instead of virtue signaling by saying that you're not afraid of no virus, why don't you make yourself useful and maybe help out one of those people who are in fear and in that at-risk thing? And again, there's a lot of people out there who aren't Christians and don't have faith in anything after death. So maybe you can be a good witness to those people by serving them and loving them, as opposed to making a giant statement about how your church is still going to meet no matter what because you got faith. You know, I'm not saying anything bad against snake handling, but similarly, it doesn't really do a whole lot to invite outside people inside of the kingdom of God. It's frustrating when people from my tribe are saying things that are almost the opposite of what I would be saying in response to some stuff. So I just wanted to make that clear.
But yeah, we still have our, Patreon, a Patronus, what is it?
Yeah, we got the Patreon. Mm-hmm. We have one very satisfied patron who got on the $20 a month plan.
Oh, that's cool.
And because of that, got a calendar.
That's cool. Yeah. Sexy calendar.
It's pretty good. And that's it, though. So I want to say this. You guys, in your quarantine, just enjoy the podcast. And we got 70 episodes. And I know that's not as many as Joe Rogan with his, I don't know. He's got like 400 or something.
He's got a lot, man.
But there's plenty of content. If you're interested, enjoy your quarantine, sponsored by us. And we can maybe do a couple more things since we're going to have some extra time on our hands.
Yeah, my calendar just opened up. What is it? Talesfromtheditch.download?
Talesfromtheditch.download. But you can also subscribe on all the podcasty things.
What, Apple Play? What is it called? Apple Tunes or Apple Play?
iTunes? iTunes podcast? Apple
is it
podcast?
Apple Play or what?
It's something. I don't use those.
Whatever
garbage.
it is we are on iTunes though, right?
We are on iTunes. We're on Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, I just started a new YouTube thing. So we've got our episodes up on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Okay.
YouTube.com/Tales from the Ditch.
All
if
right.
you like static background to do your listening with. We're on Stitcher and, all the things. We're out there. Out there.
What is it? I can't remember. I know it's iTunes, but they call it like Apple Play or something.
You and we're from the other side of the tracks from the iPhone owners, so we don't know what it's called. Not judging, just saying I can't afford those iPhones.
I think
my phone costed a third of your iPhone.
Player FM for those who
Player
are
FM.
Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Google Play Music, Spotify, and Stitcher. Follow us, listen, hope is not lost, and message us. So you want to do the clap? Give them the clap.
Yeah.
Or do it? No, we end with Sorry, that's how we begin, but how do we end?
Oh yes, good point. Zip it up.
Zip it out.
Body bag.
See ya.